If Surf Clothing dress shirts didn't make it under your tree this year, now's your chance to treat yourself to your new favorite dress shirt. Completely reimagined for comfort and purpose, Surf Clothing button-ups feature a mesh collar shield to stop sweat marks, built-in vents for breathability, longer tails that stay tucked, and antimicrobial fabric for all-day freshness. All backed by a real 2-year guarantee. It's no wonder they sold out 4 times last year. Get yours before they're gone at surfclothing.com. Surfclothing.com.
Welcome to the KSL Real Estate Show. Hear updates on the national and local Utah real estate markets. We cover residential and commercial properties. Plus, get inspiring ideas to make your house a home from our sponsor, Osmond Designs. Here's Heather Osmond and Jeff Caplan on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to the KSL Real Estate Show. Brand new year. Thank you so much for listening this morning. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is right there from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Lehigh and Orem. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jeff, right? It has been a great 2025, but of course, we're always looking forward to 2026. Hopefully your New Year was great. What did you do for fun?
Afrin nasal spray, decongestant. It was great. We partied.
That's so sad. We're getting old, Jeff. So,
but, you know, if I had the opportunity to go out and do, I wouldn't. I think it's been about 8-10 years since I've actually done anything. My move is to go to sleep at 10:30 and I'll watch something cool on TV. And then at midnight, the neighbors wake me up with the fireworks and I get to look up and say, New Year.
Roll over, kiss your wife, and go back to bed.
That's exactly what happens.
That's a good move. Well, I'm so sorry that you're under the weather. I hope you start feeling better soon. But your voice sounds great, and I really appreciate you being here today. It's always so much fun to do this radio show with you, Jeff.
Yeah.
And it has been such a great year. We've talked about anything and everything real estate related in Utah. And what's great is we get to meet a lot of new friends. So we always get to invite and introduce new guests on the show. And that's always a blast. So for this segment, we are going to review 2025 and then also have an outlook for 2026. Jeff, what really happened in 2025? Who knows, right? It's generally steady.
When we're talking about real estate, it's been a tricky year. I hear that from you. I hear that from all the guests we've had in the past 12 months. They were scratching their heads pretty much trying to figure it out just like we are right now.
Yeah, but Utah is outpacing other states, which is always good news here on the KSL Real Estate Show. Utah home prices stabilized, and there was actually modest appreciation. Being a real estate investor myself, I love investing in this area. I'm a born and raised Utah girl. And of course, this is my home. So I love that Utah still makes money. We are killing it in every aspect. I get to talk with economists all across the country and I read their reports and all the articles and stay up to date. And even in the furniture industry, which I'm also in, all these furniture reps from all across the country are always telling us that, Utah sales are just booming. It's incredible.
Why is that? Is it because we have a growing population? Is it simple as that? There are more kids, they're growing up?
And I think people just love being here. People that are born and raised here generally stay here around family. Utah has a very unique aspect of family focus, and I think that's always great. But the word is also out that it's a great place to live.
And fortunately or unfortunately, that impacts real estate prices and values. If you're sitting in a home right now that you own, it's great news. But if you're looking for your first home, it's just a terrible situation.
It really is. And that affordable housing has really been a topic that we've talked about almost on a weekly basis. It is hard to find an affordable home here in Utah. And for affordable, I mean, we're talking $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. And for single family income producing homes, that is a steep climb. There's not a lot of people that are making the kind of income that is needed to be able to buy a home, pay that mortgage payment, and also be able to go on vacations and buy food and pay for insurance and all the other necessities of life. So that's hard.
One thing you have to consider is leaving Utah if you're young, because look at the difference. What is the median real estate value in Utah at the end of this year? What is it?
They're saying around $526,000 is the research that I did.
Okay, so nationwide, it was $100,000 lower this past year at 429,000, in there. $100,000 less for the median, in essence, average home someplace else.
And Utah usually has stay-at-home moms. We have more kids than any other state in the country. And so most of those moms are trying to stay home and raise their kids. And so that's a lot of pressure on these husbands and dads. If you are blessed to have a 2-income family, that is helpful. But even some of those, it's a squeeze to be able to pay for these $526,000 homes. In fact, I was just talking to my daughter the other day about this, that your down payment generally at a bank is 3%. So let's say it's $500,000. You need a $15,000 down payment.
Wait, you only have to put down 3% on a house? Is that if you're Heather Osmond walking in, or is that for anyone who has decent credit?
Most people with decent credit. I mean, that's just general. Some loans vary, and you need 5%, or you need even more than that. But that's a chunk of money. So if you're currently renting, to be able to save up $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 for a down payment, unless you have a sugar daddy or a sugar mama, that parents that are helping or co-signing, it's very, very difficult to get into a home.
I just lost that statistic that I was going to. Oh, yes. It takes 7 years for the average first-time buyer to save up the down payment on a home. New statistics. Before the pandemic, it was half that, about 3.5 years to save up. But the interest rates and the appreciation in home values creates a sticky situation for young people.
For sure. But Jeff, there's always good news. And there were homes in Utah that were still selling quickly. One of those is just homes that are priced right. Because of the varying interest rates, a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. However, inventory was up roughly 13% year over year from last year. So if you are a seller in today's market, it is more important than ever to price your home correctly, and it will sell. Some of the mistakes that sellers did make was putting their home up, first and foremost, for too much money. It was not in selling condition, which is where my interior design expertise comes in. Homes are being looked at online before they're ever being walked into. So you better have great photography. It better look like a model home. You need to de-junk, get rid of about half of the stuff that's currently in your home, and make it look great.
Okay, so say you have a $600,000 house. You're living in it. The mortgage is paid off. It's not paid off, whatever the case is. You have to pay a real estate agent. And I'm just speaking as somebody who has no connection to the industry except being on this show. You have to get a real estate agent. The real estate agent is going to say you need a masterful photographer. Now you also need to stage your home and bring in furniture. It's a lot of expense. When I did the math on the back of an envelope or on a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, just sitting at home saying, when we sell, what are we going to make? The numbers I came up with aren't the numbers the real estate agent came up with, and it creates a lot of ill will because you have expectations about your home that somebody who's impartial might not have. How, as a real estate agent, do you negotiate your way through that with the customer, the client?
For sure. And I think sometimes real estate agents have to be the bearer of bad news and give you a little dose of reality. Most sellers think that their home is worth more than it is. And oftentimes you'll be surprised that your home is worth more than it is. But I think just having a great experienced real estate agent is key, especially in this market. If you don't have to sell your home, maybe it's not the right time. But most real estate agents will do a 1-hour consultation where they will come in and they'll do a market analysis and they'll look at what's going on in your neighborhood, in your city, in the industry, and then you can at least, information is power.
So will they tell you, well, this is the price we should sell at?
Yes.
As part of that consultation. Okay. So you interview 3 different people who are real estate agents, right? And whoever gives you the highest number, that's who you hire.
Well,
is that a mistake?
You would think so, right? Of course, that would be great, but sometimes that real estate agent doesn't have all the information, and it doesn't do you any good to overprice your home. So definitely make sure that you're taking in all 3 of those opinions. Of course, they're usually using the same market analysis, and they have access to the same comparables on the multiple listing service.
But are there some real estate agents who at this sales appointment, in essence, are going to tell you what you want to hear in order to get the listing?
I think it depends on the real estate agent. I think there's a lot of really inexperienced real estate agents that just want to get listings. And then once they have your listing and it's overpriced and they're not getting any showings, then of course they already have you under contract, and then, reduce the price from there. But pricing it correctly will save you time and money if you really are serious about selling your home. So that's number one. That's so key. Coming up, we're going to talk about how buyers and sellers' behavior shifted in 2025 and then the outlook of that for 2026. But before I close, I do want to give a shout out to Central Bank. If you are in the market to get into a new home, please contact Central Bank. They are local. They are incredible. They have been in business for over 130 years, and they make buying a home easy. You're listening to this KSL Real Estate Show. I'm Heather Osmond, owner of the Osmond Designs Furniture and Interior Design Stores, here with Jeff Caplan from KSL. We'll be right back.
We're back with the KSL Real Estate Show, sponsored by Osmond Designs on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to the KSL Real Estate Show. Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is here from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Lehigh and Orem. So is it all quiet except for sweeping up the glitter at the stores?
Oh, Jeff, it is busy. You'd be surprised.
Really?
January is actually a very busy month for us. I think for many, many reasons, but one specifically is people are taking down their Christmas. And so then your home just feels bare and they feel like they need to buy more stuff to fill it up.
Yeah, the home was fine in October. I know this one. But when the trees go away and all the stockings and the stuff on the fireplace mantle, it's like, wow, this house is naked.
It doesn't feel right? And people are just yearning for that cozy, comfortable feeling again. So usually just freshening things up is always fun. So come on into Osmond Designs today. If you are anywhere near the Lehigh and the Orem locations, come and see what we have. All the brand new 2026 fabrics and textures. And of course, the new scents are coming in. So it's actually a really fun time. And you might end up with some glitter on you when you leave because, again, we are cleaning up Christmas, and that's always super, super fun. In this segment, we're going to talk about buyers and sellers, what happened in 2025, and then what we can look forward to in 2026. Previously, we were talking about some of the mistakes that sellers made this year and some of the improvements that we are hoping that they will fix for this next year. Staging is always key.
Okay, this is your wheelhouse. Staging a home. Well, that's your bread and butter. That's what you do.
I'm very passionate about it. And
now, when I sell a house, do I have to get rid of all my furniture, put it into storage, and let you just go crazy?
No. So we always recommend doing a 1-hour consultation. So when I first was married, I decided that I wanted to be a real estate agent. I had previously gone to BYU. I took some interior design classes, some business classes, some advertising classes, of course, a Book of Mormon class, all the good stuff, Jeff. And my husband and I, we wanted to buy our first home and we needed a down payment. So I decided to be a real estate agent, and I would go into people's homes, and I was horrified. And I could not believe that they had cleaned up for me to come, and it was just a wreck.
So you had the design sense young.
I did. And I will give a little shout out to my mom about that, because I learned everything that I know from my sweet mom, who was a stay-at-home mom, always had our home beautiful. But then as I became in high school and college age, she and my dad started the Hines Mansion Bed and Breakfast on Center Street in Provo. And I was able to do a little bit of help. My mom definitely was the lead designer and had incredible ideas, and it was just a natural talent for her. And I learned a lot from her. And so that was always really fun and really started the spark of loving design and making your home beautiful and making commercial buildings beautiful. So thank you, Mom, for that. And then I would go into people's homes, right? Like had just mentioned, as a real estate agent, give them suggestions. Jeff, you had mentioned, well, do you really have to put all your stuff in storage? How does that process work? And oftentimes you don't. Most of the time, people have stuff that's great that we can use. It just needs to be moved. One of the biggest mistakes in almost everyone's home, whether you're selling or if you're just living in your home, is just scale. People have oversized furniture for the size of the room or undersized furniture for the size of the room. Specifically, art is usually the biggest problem. So they'll have small pieces of art on large walls and vice versa. So those are just a few things that if you are planning on selling, you do need to stage your home, and it does make a difference. Builders spend a ton of money to make sure that their home feels great. And all of us have been in homes where you walk in and you know it's done well. And we've also been in homes where it's not done right. And oftentimes you don't maybe know all the rules and the principles behind that, but you can feel it. So that is one of the biggest points that sellers do need to pay attention to. From a buyer perspective, they are demanding better condition and pricing, as always. So if there are little honey-do projects that need to be done, just do them, because you will get your money out of it. And a buyer that's walking in is looking at a, bright neon green bedroom and thinking, oh, that just seems like a lot of work. I have to repaint.
Now, you were getting to the part where you have to redesign your kitchen because it's old. Do you really have to do that to get out of a house?
Oftentimes, just a coat of paint on the cabinets. If you have the red oak cabinets, painting them white will do wonders. Replacing the entire kitchen is usually not necessary, but doing a refresh is very, very important. If you have Formica countertops, I would probably recommend investing into a quartz. It's not that expensive. It's clean. It's the latest and greatest. It's what people want. And some place like a kitchen, Jeff, you will get that ROI, that return on investment.
Yeah, you have to think like you're running a business when you're selling a house. You are the CEO of Let's Get Rid of This Place, Inc., in essence. And you can't think emotionally about the process. I've learned that being on this show for all this time.
Yeah, and your home is not your home anymore. It's someone else's home. So make it appeal to the masses. Homes average 25 to 30 days on the market throughout this year, and price reductions have become more normalized than ever. Some of the concessions that people are asking for are carpet allowances. So if you have tired carpet, if it's in good enough condition, oftentimes you can just clean it and it'll come to life. But offering that is, of course, great, or just replacing that. Staging is more important than ever, making sure it's beautiful.
We're going to head to break in a few moments, but when we come back, I need to talk to you about this because you've mentioned twice in this show price reductions, and that's a bad thing to have happen. It can be a tragic thing in the real estate business to have price reductions, and I want to get into the reasons why. Take us inside after the break, would you?
Absolutely. We'll be talking about price reductions, interest rates, and affordability in the next segment. Stay tuned. You're listening to the KSL Real Estate Show. I'm Heather Osmond, owner of Osmond Designs Furniture and Interior Design Stores, here with Jeff Caplan with KSL.
Welcome to the KSL Real Estate Show. Hear updates on the national and local Utah real estate markets. We cover residential and commercial properties. Plus, get inspiring ideas to make your house a home from our sponsor, Osmond Designs. Here's Heather Osmond and Jeff Caplan on KSL News Radio.
Welcome. It's the KSL Real Estate Show. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is here from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Lehigh and Orem.
Yes, and everything is on sale today. It's an additional 20% off, and all of our Christmas is an additional 40% off. So come on in and choose all your ornaments for next year. Put them in your totes, pack them up, and then next Christmas, it'll be like Christmas again, because you'll probably by then forget what you purchased and you'll have all brand new Christmas decor, which will be super fun. Jeff, in this segment, we are going to be talking about price reductions, interest rates, and affordability in this Utah real estate market. Interest rates definitely dominated all real estate conversations in 2025, and I'm expecting more of the same for 2026.
But I want to go back to price reductions because you mentioned it twice. Now, at Osmond Design, when you decide to reduce prices by 40%, that's great. You move out merchandise, your customers are happy. But a price reduction in the real estate business, I hate to use this term, but I'm going to, is kind of like suicide because you're killing the deal. Apparently, everybody who's come in here just scoffs and shakes their head when they're on our show and start talking about the need to reduce the price. Why is that so terrible?
Well, first and foremost, it means that it was priced incorrectly to begin with, most often. As soon as you do that first price reduction, it shows a history of all the times that you reduce the price. So if you do that, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, oftentimes that looks like desperation, or there's a reason why this house has not sold.
That other people looked at it and saw whatever was wrong and went running.
Yeah, I think so. And the longer that home has been on the market, that also can be a black mark on that home. And so if you can be priced great, fully staged, clean, updates are done, paint, carpet, let's really focus on the inexpensive things and those things that you can change to improve your home the best way possible, the curb appeal, all of those things, the great photography. I promise it will be well worth your time. Time is money. No one wants to be having their house shown 25 times. It's awful.
Except during the pandemic, when real estate was going with the snap of a finger at prices that you couldn't believe whatsoever. And we went from that to this, and it's like everybody has to be re-educated about how to buy and how to sell a house.
Oh, for sure. And we'll continue to talk about it over and over. But I have sold many, many homes in the course of my career of being in the real estate business. Not only personal homes, but also investments, commercial buildings, all of that. And it's a pain, Jeff. It's awful, right? You get that phone call, hey, can we come see your home in 3 hours? And, you just happen to be at the grocery store or you're at the basketball game and then you stop and drop, right? You drop everything that you're currently doing.
Even when you have the flu.
Even when you have the flu, Jeff.
Man.
Go home and clean your house and get it all ready and fluff all the pillows and bake the cookies and clean the bathrooms as quickly and frantically as you can. And you basically tell your kids, get out of the house, go to friends' homes. And it's a lot of chaos. And then oftentimes 10 minutes before they cancel. And it's no fun. It's just awful. And to do that multiple times over and over and over, I mean, it's painful. It's horrible. So if you can just have a few people in, price it right, get it under contract, I promise pain and suffering is well worth it.
Let me tell you the argument on the other side. As a homeowner who's sold a house, I realize if I'm selling a $500,000 house, for argument's sake, let's say the commission is 5%. What is that? $25,000?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good to me, Jeff.
If the house goes for $475,000, that's going to cut a little bit off that $25,000 commission. But to me, it's seismic because I'm suffering this huge reduction in what I was expecting to take out of the deal.
Well, and I will tell you, a good real estate agent is worth their money, not only in pricing. I'll give you a couple examples of those. I've seen many homes listed by real estate agents that I think were substantially undervalued. And so even if you're paying $25,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 to a real estate agent, but they've undercut you $200,000 or whatever that amount is, I mean, you have just lost a lot of money.
Right.
So make sure that you are getting multiple opinions and bids and pricing, and you're doing your research about those real estate agents, because it can be a big, big deal. And really, you don't want to leave money on the table.
You need a bond of trust with the agent you're going to work with, I'd imagine, as opposed to the person who sells you blue sky.
Yes, please. It needs to be a family friend or someone that you've done business with before. I will also talk about investments, affordability. Jeff, not only is it important to get the home that you want to live in, and oftentimes my opinion is pay for where you want to live. Even if it's a little more than what you would normally pay, I think your home should be somewhere that you love to be. It's where you're going to raise your kids. It's your social life, those neighbors, those friends. Make sure that you are in a place that you want to be. But then if you are an investor, which I am, that is all just charts and graphs. Make sure that you have an ROI or return on investment. Make sure that you are looking at the cap rates and keeping all of those things in mind. Of course, location is still very, very important. And I personally like to invest in areas that are somewhat remotely close to things that I can manage. I'm not an out-of-state investor. I love investing in Utah, but I think that if you can invest in lower income condos, townhomes, single family homes, people need homes to live in, and you will never lose in Utah with that in mind.
But it becomes a job in essence. I mean, real estate is first, buying the property, which is what you're talking about, but now you own it. It's yours. You have to work.
You hopefully don't have to work too hard, Jeff, right? If you buy the right home and it's in great condition, there will be minor things that you will have to do, but I call it mailbox money. Investing in the American dream, there are always going to be tenants that need a home, and especially in those lower family incomes, they do need to be there, and they want to be in a great place, and they're easy. You'll probably have 20 applicants to choose from. And it's really fun to help people. I always love to price my things just a little under market. And that way you get to choose a great tenant, because it really does save you money in the long run, because they don't go in and trash your place. In the beginning, my husband and I, we owned 33 rental properties, and that was a full-time job. I was raising kids and trying to help. My husband was doing that full-time, and it was a lot. And then as we had more income coming in, then we started to source some of that out. And so it did get easier.
Wait, back when you were managing everything, you and your husband, I have never met a real estate investor who didn't have stories about the tenants, at least one story. I'm not going to ask you for any stories because it's kind of personal, it's business. But you have them, don't you?
Oh, Jeff, you would not believe the stories that we have, and that is for another show for sure. But we have some really heartwarming stories too. One of my most favorite stories was a single mom that was living in one of our apartment complexes, and she was not paying a lot of money in rent, but she actually ended up getting pregnant and needed to give away her baby. And we had some friends that we knew that needed a baby and wanted a baby. And so we were able to connect the two. And that was life-changing. It was so beautiful. And I just don't think that there are coincidences in life. And I look at that experience as divine choreography, that this family was able to get a baby because we went to a party that they happened to be at, and they talked about that. And we had this tenant, and we connected the two. So I think there are some incredible experiences, and
that's really sweet.
So sweet.
And the sarcastic part of me wants to say, wow, you did a transaction without a 6% commission.
I know, right? But those are the things that are meaningful. And my biggest problem is I love people, and I get really attached to people. And so a lot of these tenants become my friends, and I get involved in their lives, and I love cheering for them and seeing them succeed. And then they move out. And they go buy a house, which is always, such a celebration and also a disappointment.
Right?
Touchdown, right? But, at the end of the day, we're all just walking each other home. And if you can make some money and invest in Utah in the process, and hopefully have an impact on other people's lives, and they get to, of course, add value to yours, it's a win-win for everyone. I love Utah. I cannot say enough good things about the people here. It's incredible.
You ready to tackle another subject when we come back?
Let's do it.
Okay. I want to talk about what 2026 is going to look like in the real estate market. Talk to my oracle, Heather Osmond, and find out what's up.
Well, I'm going to do my best. That's a lot. I don't know if we've even had one guest that has been able to answer these questions. And if I knew all the answers, Jeff, I'd probably be president of the United States. I don't know. Or maybe I wouldn't.
Why would you want that?
Why would I want to do that? We love having you on this KSL Real Estate Show with us. We've been doing this for several years together, Jeff, and you've been such an incredible host with me, and you always have such great insight. I probably don't know anyone that knows more about what's going on in the world than Jeff, and he gives me the rundown every single week before the show. So that's really fun. And then, of course, we get to talk about good news here in Utah and real estate.
It has been a lot of good news in real estate, and it's been tremendous fun over the past couple of years to be doing this show, and we'll continue. Bring on 2026.
Bring on 2026. You're listening to the KSL Real Estate Show. I'm Heather Osmond, owner of Osmond Designs Furniture and Interior Design Stores, here with Jeff Caplan with KSL. We'll be right back.
We're back with the KSL Real Estate Show, sponsored by Osmond Designs on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to the KSL Real Estate Show. We're glad you're listening. Happy New Year. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is here from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Lehigh and Orem, and there's lots going on at Osmond Designs.
There are. I feel like it's Christmas every day at Osmond Designs. We're bringing out all of the new intros for 2026. And of course, I'm a kid in my candy store, and I get so giddy and so happy. And every time something new comes out on the store, I get multiple texts per day, and I squeal. And I always love when great furniture goes to good homes, and it just brings me so much joy. Today, we're talking about 2026, all the fun things, not only in design, but of course in the real estate industry.
Let's start with design, because Pantone came out with its color of the year. Now, last year in 2025, it was I think it was called, was it chocolate mousse? It was a brown. And supposedly, when they declare the color of the year at Pantone, designers like you, automotive designers, paint companies all lean toward that color. So first, before we get to this year, did it happen last year?
So I think people in Utah are loving the chocolate brown, but I think we're kind of browned out in Utah. Previously, we are coming out of that Tuscan old world where everything was brown. We all had the brown leather sofas and sectionals, and our floors were brown and our cabinets were alder. And anyway, we're kind of browned out. But now that we've repainted, we've refreshed, we've updated, most of our cabinets are white and white oak. And, you know, most of the new construction homes are going that direction.
Okay, you mentioned that because in 2026, the color they named as our color of the year worldwide is called Cloud Dancer.
It is Cloud Dancer.
It's like it's a white, but not a pure white. Is that a good description of it?
Yeah, it's almost like a creamy white, which is a warm white is how I would describe it.
And a lot of people scream, that's not a color. White is not a color, but they pointed out in design it absolutely is.
Absolutely is a color. And there's thousands of whites, right? So this is just another one, but people are just loving clean. I think that's the overall theme. It's just clean, simple, classic. You can't go wrong with that. Previously, we were talking about last year's color, and it was that chocolate brown. And where everyone was doing the black and white, we just wanted to add some warmth. And so now that all the trends have really been swinging more into the natural woods, and there's a lot of warmth and textures in 2025, now they're bringing white back. So, you know, if you just wait long enough, Jeff,
everything comes around.
Everything comes around eventually.
Case in point, I was reading about design trends in the year ahead. It was in the Axios newsletter. If you want to check on it, they say Art Deco, like from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, is coming back around. Art Deco styling in homes.
Yeah.
Do you see that here in Utah?
I think it's going to take a little while, but it's warming up. That mid-century modern where you have the rounded legs, right? You used to see those chairs at your grandma's home, the big florals and some of the velvets and all of that definitely is coming in, usually with my kids. That's more their style.
I think of Art Deco and I think of a movie theater, a classic, like 1970s, 1980s, even 90s movie theater.
Yeah.
That leans to that, but I don't see it in homes here.
I feel like it usually skips a generation. So if our parents had a style, we usually don't like that style, but then our kids usually like what their grandparents had, but it's usually a little more updated. So that's always really, really interesting. So advice to give to 2026 buyers.
Oh, yes.
Jeff,
we were talking about real estate. Sorry.
No, this is always fun. You get me on a squirrel, right? Going like a squirrel on design. I can talk for hours and hours and hours and days. But okay, Jeff, so let's swing back and talk about advice for sellers in 2026. Price your home correctly. Clean it up. Make sure that your home is not your home anymore. We are preparing it to sell, and it needs to appeal to the masses. Advice for buyers: get in the market. When's the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday. So I would say get in the market, regardless of what interest rates are saying right now.
Any predictions for interest rates?
I mean, I feel like they're going to stay steady.
That's what I'm thinking also. They're not going to come down. 30-year mortgages could end up staying, a little of this, a little of that, but right where they are.
Yeah, I think there will be some minor adjustments up or down, but generally just get in the market, because the income that you are losing in equity, you can't make doing your day job. So get in the Utah real estate market. There are opportunities in almost every category: residential, commercial, investment, land. I mean, all of it just seems to be good news. And it is so fun to have you here with us on the KSL show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Heather Osmond, owner of Osmond Designs Furniture and Interior Design Stores, here with Jeff Caplan. Hope you had a great week. See you next.
When you're planning a winter outing, head to Utah's Hogle Zoo. It's open year-round, and be surprised by how much there is to do in the winter. Bundle up and discover the wonder of wildlife in a whole new season. Fall in love with getting an up-close look at the gorillas and orangutans in their indoor habitats, especially baby Wayla. You can save $2 when you grab your tickets at hoglezoo.org. If you want year-round perks, most zoo memberships pay for themselves in 3 visits or less. Go to hoglezoo.org. That's hoglezoo.org.